Virtually since she was sworn in, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has faced an unending stream of abuse, both online and from right-wing media. And that has often, and especially recently, moved into the territory of what is perceived to be threats against her, encouraging violence, pitching her as some sort of extremist that she's not, billboards that are extremely inflammatory. We of course saw the messages from Border Patrol agents that were both violent and sexually violent against her and others in government. And now, today, we've got news of someone who came a step closer to being considered a credible threat against her life. Timothy Ireland, a 41-year-old, was indicted in US District Court in Toledo, which is not where the terror attack happened, Donald Trump, with one count of making interstate threats, one count of being a felon in possession of a firearm, and one count of being a fugitive in possession of a firearm, according to the US Attorney's Office for Northern Ohio. He was quoted as saying, "She should be shot, can't fire me, my employer would load the gun for me." And according to prosecutors on the case, he stated that he made those statements and was very proud of the post he made. He also stated he has firearms and always carries them concealed. That's what he said to the team investigating him after he had been found.
Yes, so they went to his house and they found ammunition, but not a weapon. But to be fair, he is proud that he is good at concealing it.
Yeah, I want to mention it because it's very odd. Capitol Police and ATF, they detained him at the scene at his house and found 7 rounds of ammunition, 3 rounds of 32 caliber ammunition and 4 rounds of 45 caliber ammunition. Who has 7 bullets?
Yeah.
That's not how you buy ammunition, that's bizarre.
And who has those specific kinds of bullets but not the guns to go with them?
So, even though he says he has a gun.
Yeah.
And it's concealed so well that they haven't found it yet.
And you're gonna be shocked to find out that this guy is a felon. He had committed crimes in the past and hence is not allowed to have those weapons. Weird that the mentally unstable guy threatening to kill people had committed crimes in the past. So that is part of the reason why authorities have taken him in. This story made me worry because for the obvious reason. The obvious reason is there's all these folks out there looking to do harm to people, or who at a bare minimum say it cavalierly online, like, oh, it would be great if I could murder a sitting congressperson. But, and by the way, when the authorities call him, the cops are calling you about a murder threat. He doesn't even think he should say he was kidding, even though that would obviously be a lie, given that he actually did say, oh, no, I'm proud of it. I would like to shoot her, right? Like, that's the state we're in, so that's the normal outrage, right? But I get that every day. So I'm beginning to wonder if I'm the crazy one that, like, I've just gotten used to death threats daily. Like, do people not get death threats daily?
No, regular people don't. Yes,
no, I know
stuff has
regular
been
people
normalized
don't.
for you that probably should not be normalized. But yeah, if you're in the public eye, it's much more likely that crazy people are going to take an interest in you. And it's not always positive.
Yeah, I guess given the level of death threats I get, I'm surprised that more legislators are not getting them round the clock. Like that this is a news story.
Well, certain ones do. I mean, we know that Maxine Waters is targeted quite often. I mean, there was the pipe bomb scare, obviously. Now, she has talked about this previously. Now, understand the quotes we're gonna show you, this is from before this most recent issue, it's from earlier this year. But AOC had said about the sort of vitriol and threats that come her way. What people maybe do realize is when organizations air these hateful messages, my life changes because of the flood of death threats they inspire. I've had mornings where I wake up and the first thing I do with my coffee is review photos of the men, it's always men, who want to kill me. I don't even get to see all of them, just the ones that have been flagged as particularly troubling. It happens whenever Fox gets particularly aggressive and hateful too. Young interns have to constantly hear hateful messages, far beyond disagreement from people we don't even rep. All of this is to say that words matter and can have consequences for safety. For those who believe in free speech, whose free speech do you believe in? Because some folks using free speech to defend racism are also supporting folks passing laws to allow running over protesters. And so she of course noticed the pattern between these death threats and the attacks against her on Fox News. Those continue, obviously. She's talked about in apocalyptic terms in right-wing media. She's pitched as a person that's trying to destroy your country, perhaps end your life, bring in murderers and rapists and those sorts of things. And then what do you know? Of the millions of people that watch those videos, Some percentage take it really seriously. A smaller percentage, wish they could act on it. And a smaller percentage perhaps might try, and that's where thankfully law enforcement has so far stopped any actual issues or any actual progress on that.
Look, I mentioned my case because I don't know how to get control over it. I don't mean for me personally, I mean overall as a society. I mean, there's the one part, AOC gets real death threats, Ilhan Omar gets real death threats nonstop, right? Every once in a while a Republican will go, you know what? Someone called up my office and was mean to me. No, dude, that's not a threat. Okay, that's if they were mean to you by saying I'm going to kill you, then that's a death threat, and you should definitely report it to the cops, et cetera, et cetera. But like, apparently they've got this bubble around them where they never even get criticized. So when they get criticized, they're like shell shocked. For the Just Democrats, it's been 24/7, right? For all these young legislators that came in looking to upend the system and bring democracy back, no matter where the source is, but it's almost always the right wing. It's nonstop threats. But at least they're Congress people, and I don't mean to. I mean, it should be taken super seriously, and I like that they have files of the guys. That looks like law enforcement is doing a great job of at least doing their best to try to protect them. But if you're in the online world, good luck to you. There ain't no FBI and cops working 24/7. Look, Cesar Sayoc, the pipe bomber, did a threat against one of our hosts, Francis Maxwell. No protection. So, I mean, we're doing our best here, but what I'm telling you is this is madness, and it is definitely going to lead to a very, very bad result at some point.
Yeah.
And then everybody's gonna say afterwards, no one could have seen it coming. I'm telling you, first of all, it's super easy to see coming. Look on my Twitter handle, any day you could find a death threat, every single day, okay? Let alone the thousands of comments on YouTube and Facebook.
Oh God.
Where there are probably dozens. Look, the other day I did it on a whim. I was like, here, I'll scroll through for a second, boom, found a guy who said, oh, I wanna hang you until your neck snaps and you're dead and et cetera. Retweeted it casually because it's every day, what am I gonna do, right? So I hope to God it's not anybody, but there's, to John's point, everyone is armed. There's a certain percentage that are mentally unbalanced. There's a certain percentage of that is prone to violence, and that is still a giant number.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and people will assume, what are you worried about? They've got security, Secret Service. No, they really don't. They walk around, they're as vulnerable as anyone. They have less security than your average YouTube star than a lot of people do. It's a very dangerous situation, and you can't, what I would love is for them to stop demonizing her. They're not gonna do that, of course. We can't get anything out of right-wing media. Like after the El Paso shooting, so I posted a video as a challenge to one pundit in particular who likes to pitch herself as a reasonable person, Tommy Lauren. Stop saying it's an invasion. You can see that terrorists are saying the same thing as you, maybe just don't say that. No, nothing. They're still incredibly defensive about the fact that the New York Times today linked a lot of the language that you see on Fox News and Breitbart and things like that to the same language in the manifestos. They won't even change the particular words they use around it. Like the idea that the Five isn't gonna make every show about AOC and Fox and Friends are gonna attack her on every episode, even though they can see that we are getting closer and closer to someone making an actual attempt on the life of a particular congressperson. But they either don't take it seriously or they don't care if something happens.
Yeah, last thing on this, guys. Aggressively criticizing politicians is awesome. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and we do it every single day. But the language that you use, to John's point, is so important. Because, for example, if you're going to use it about a Jewish congressman or senator, you might love them, you might hate them. If you do hate them or you don't agree with their policies, if you say they stabbed us in the back, don't do that. You might think that, hey, look, it's because they voted with the Republicans, et cetera. No, you have to be careful about that stuff because that has a history. And what it does is it triggers people to violent action, right? Saying that somebody is an enemy of the people, it's an obvious violent trigger that has been used in the past to trigger people into violence, et cetera. And so when you know that history and you press that button anyway, repeatedly, well then you're not being careful, you're being the exact opposite. You're almost egging people on. Yeah. And talking about how immigrants are invaders is a neon light blinking, do violence, do violence. This is what has led to violence almost every single time. And in fact, both Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson have said the immigrants will not replace us. That is classic fascist talk. And that is meant to trigger violence. If they don't know that, they're incredibly stupid and have no chance. And none of their producers know because it's on a teleprompter. No executive Fox News knows that. No producers at Fox News know that. And none of the hosts know that. No, I'm afraid that some of them do know that. And they write that anyway, not just to say, hey, I don't agree with their immigration policy, but to add the line that is implied. And someone should do something about it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's dangerous times.